It is finally NBA mock draft season. We are back here. What is this? 2024 NBA draft. This will be the third draft we're covering on this channel. So we're back here today with our first mock draft. Fanspo here has finally gotten the new prospects, and I went through and made my big board last night. One thing to note: I forgot to move Alex Sarr up the draft board. I put him on there, and then I forgot to move him up. I have not looked at any of these three overseas guys yet, so they will not be in today's mock draft. Alex Sarr will be the only overseas guy in today's mock draft. But with that being said, let's go ahead and get things started here with the god-awful Detroit Pistons on the clock. Potentially the worst team in the history of the NBA. They need a lot. It's best player available, honestly. They have a solid backcourt cemented with Cade and with Jaden Ivey. Azar Thompson looks like he could be a really nice defensive wing in the future. But other than that, I mean, Jalen Duren's looking all right, and you got to keep Isaiah Stewart for the culture. There's really nothing with this team. I mean, they've won 3 games, and we're 36 games into the season. So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and take the number one overall prospect right now, and that is Alex Sarr. Number one on Fanspo and on ESPN. So that is who the Pistons will drop. Or who will pick. Also, this is going to be a lottery mock draft today. Actually, not a lottery mock draft. A top 10 mock draft. So, with the second overall pick, the San Antonio Spurs are up. And, I mean, this team definitely could use a lot. I think they need to just play Trey Jones more as a pure point guard. You have Devin Vassell. You have Keldon Johnson. Maybe could be a part of the long-term plans. Jeremy Sohan has proven he is not a point guard. But with this pick, I would go Ron Holland because that would make them so good on the defensive side of the ball. But I think they need a little bit more scoring and a little bit more facilitating as well as defense. So I'm going to go Cody Williams from Colorado, the 6'8" freshman. Watched a little bit of film on him last night. He's pretty solid. He is not bad at all, averaging about 14 points, 4 rebounds. Number 3 on Fanspo, or number 6 on Fanspo, but number 3 on ESPN, and that's who I'm going to go with here. The 6'8" freshman out of Colorado to the Spurs. Now, with the third pick, we have the Washington Wizards. And again, if I pick the wrong player, or if you think I should pick somebody else for your team, make sure to go comment that down below. We'll have a nice little discussion about it. Anyways, with the third pick, we have the Washington Wizards on the board, and they're going to go out. I don't know. Kuzma could be gone. Tyus Jones could be gone. Everybody on this team really is on the trading block. That is how bad they are. They're just in a full rebuild. They just took Bilal Coulibaly. So with this pick, I think they're gonna go probably Ron Holland. I would go Ron Holland. He's up there in terms of the consensus draft boards. Actually, I lied. He's 11th on ESPN. But we're gonna go with Ron Holland here to be, down the line, you can see Bilal Coulibaly and Ron Holland as one of the premier defensive wing duos in the league, especially if Ron Holland can fine-tune that offensive game a little bit. Same thing with Coulibaly. Both of them probably could use a little bit of help on the offensive end, but with both of them being 6'7", 6'8", and really, really good defenders, I mean, I like that down the line in Washington if I am the Wizards. Now we have, oh boy, this will be a treat. The Charlotte Hornets. Whew. This draft class is pretty weak, I'm not going to lie. Unless, any of these guys, blow me away, this is a weak draft class. I mean, there's definitely some potential, but up top, there's no, surefire. We're at the number 4 overall pick, and I'm just seeing straight role players here. Maybe Rob Dillingham could develop into something, but I think for the Hornets here, we're going to go with upside. We're going to get another wing. Again, this is a wings league in the modern NBA. Unless you're Steph Curry, or I'll give it to De'Aaron Fox. He can take over a game as well. Those are really the only 2 guards that, can lead a team in today's NBA. I think it has to be a wings league or a big man league. But I think with this pick, where I'm going with this, bear with me here, we're going Mateus Buzel. I don't know how to say his name. I'm not going to lie. But from the G League Ignite, I liked his high school film. I thought he was going to go to Kansas, follow after Grady Dick. He ended up not going to Kansas. But the Hornets could definitely use another wing in that rotation, a guy that I feel like he doesn't have the best shooting percentages, but I like his shooting stroke. It looks pretty fluid. So I think, once he gets to the league, and again, high schoolers, you gotta back up what a good. It's a pretty solid. I don't know the exact measurement, but you gotta back up quite a bit for the NBA 3-point line compared to the high school 3-point line. So that is another reason that a lot of their percentages dip. So we're going with Buzelis here. I probably butchered that to the Charlotte Hornets. Now at 5, we have the Portland Trailblazers on the clock, and they have a lot of guards. So I'm looking for another wing here, although, the top 5 guys on the board are guards. So for the Blazers here, I kind of like what they got here. They got 2 centers for the future. We'll see what they do with Jeremy Grant. Chris Murray could develop. I mean, he's identical twins with Keegan, so I feel like they kind of have similar games. At the 2, you got Anthony Simons, you got Matisse Thybulle, you got Shaedon Sharpe, and then obviously Scoot and Malcolm Brogdon at the point guard spot. So they're good on guards. What they need is wings. And honestly, even though he's a little bit undersized, I really like Reed Sheppard out of Kentucky. He's just a winning player. And you see, what the Oklahoma City Thunder have done through the draft the last few years. Reed Sheppard would be a Oklahoma City Thunder type guy, but I'm going to have him go here to the Blazers, and they're just going to have to find a way to make it fit, because the only other thing they could use is a really good shooting wing, and usually you don't find those in the draft. Probably like Dalton Knecht, I believe is how you say his name, and then you got Jared McCain. That's a couple of really good shooters, and Reed Sheppard can shoot it. Don't get me wrong, but at 6'3", that's the only thing I worry about. But I think he would be a great pick for the Blazers here at number 5. And again, 5 is probably really high for Reed Sheppard. I just don't like this draft class that much. Of course, you could go with Jacoby Walker, but I don't know. I feel like they have enough ball dominant scores. I think they need a guy that can contribute without having the ball. Although, again, if you're mad about this pick, I can 100% see it, because you don't need somebody like Reed Sheppard with the 5th pick. It's just a weak draft class, in my opinion. Now the Grizzlies, they're going to go best player available. They're going to go with another scorer, because they're really struggling to score the ball without Ja Morant. So, in case he goes down with injury again, although they could go Donovan Clingan at 6, because they need a replacement for Steven Adams, who may not ever play again. We're hoping he comes back, but he has been through some injury troubles lately. There's a couple of Memphis Grizzlies beat reporters that are kind of questioning the rest of his NBA career. So with the 6th overall pick here, we got the Memphis Grizzlies, and I'm going to go Jacoby Walter for them, because he can really score it. I mean, you saw it in his debut. He goes out, he drops 30 on Auburn. So I like Jacoby Walter, 6'5". He's got good size for a guard, and he's going to the Memphis Grizzlies. Now, the Hawks. DeJounte Murray could be on the way out. They already got one undersized guard in Trae Young. But for the Hawks, maybe another wing, but honestly, just some more firepower in that backcourt. And I like Rob Dillingham. Isaiah Collier would probably be the better pick here out of USC. And honestly, even though I do like Rob Dillingham, I think that's who it's going to be. Isaiah Collier at 7 to the Atlanta Hawks. They're probably moving on from DeJounte Murray. So get whatever you can back from DeJounte Murray, and then see how Trae Young and Isaiah Collier pair up in that backcourt. You could obviously go Stephon Castle here, who I see as more of a shooting guard, scorer, although he hasn't had the best start to his college career, but he has been dealing with injuries. Either way, we're going Isaiah Collier here to the Atlanta Hawks, averaging about 16 points and 4 assists. And then, maybe you can even bring in Bronny later on. LeBron James can come by. We'll see what happens there. Now, the 8th pick goes back to the San Antonio Spurs, so they're kind of loaded up here. Although I think, is this pick protected in real life? I think it is. Anyways, with the 8th pick here, we have the Spurs, and saying that they do get this pick, I'm going to have them go out and get Rob Dillingham, not a pure point guard, because he can score, but he also averages about 4.5 assists per game. So the shiftiest man in college basketball is going to be coming to San Antonio, and I think that's a nice pairing for Wemby. You move Sohan. Never let him play point guard ever again. Okay, he is done playing point guard for the Spurs. You move Sohan back to the power forward, and then you got Rob Dillingham at point, Cody Williams, you got Devin Vassell, you got Sohan if you want him, you got Wemby, you got Zach Collins still, and I think that's a much better unit than what you have right now. So Rob Dillingham going to the San Antonio Spurs. Now with the 9th pick, we have the Houston Rockets on the board from Brooklyn, so this ends up being a good trade for them as well. A lot of these young teams are starting to profit off of trades they made back when they were rebuilding. So the Rockets here, what do they need? I mean, Van Vliet, he's there, but you also got Amen Thompson, who they have at the small forward spot. I don't know what's going on here, but it's kind of throwing me off. You got Van Vliet and Amen Thompson at the point guard spot. You got Jalen Green, Dylan Brooks. Cam Whitmore will eventually be able to develop. But right now, what I'm thinking, you have a lot of wings. You got a good center in Sengun, so you don't need to take Klingon. So what I'm thinking here is another scorer. And I think that Stephon Castle will be the perfect guy here, because I think Castle is definitely going to continue to get better and better at UConn. I know it says he's only averaging about 9.5 points a game, but 6'6", 215, looks like he's pretty built up. He's also averaging about 5 rebounds, not shooting it too bad from the field. So I'd like Stephon Castle here at 9 to the Rockets to come in and be just a good scorer for them, because the Jalen Green experiment is in jeopardy right now. Finally, with the 10th pick, the last pick of this mock draft. This is mock draft 1.0. This is without me even scouting most of the overseas players. This is just kind of going what I know based off of college basketball. But anyways, we have the Bulls at 10, and they got Vucevic. I think they're going to try to keep competing. We'll see if they do trade off Zach LaVine or DeMar DeRozan, but they're kind of stuck with this roster. And I think they need another big. So I'm going to have them go out and get Kyle Filipowski out of Duke. Maybe not, a great idea because he's not the most athletic. Maybe you should go Aaron Bradshaw here. But Filipowski can score from all 3 levels. He can defend a little bit. Maybe not on the perimeter in the league, but he can defend and he can really score. And I think that's what you're missing from your front court here with Patrick Williams and with Vucevic, because Vucevic can score, Patrick Williams can defend, and then Filipowski can do a little bit of both, I feel like. Like I said, his perimeter defense is not going to be elite, but he's a 7-footer that can score from all 3 levels, and that has a spot in the modern NBA, so he's going to the Bulls. With that being said, that's going to be it for today's video. That's kind of what I've gotten so far. This is a confusing class because it's honestly not that great. You're really drafting based off potential, and again, they've only played like half of their college season, so we haven't seen, everybody's full glimpses yet. But with that being said, that's going to be it for today's video. If you did enjoy today's video, today's mock draft at any point, make sure to like button, leave me a comment down below as it really helps out in the YouTube algorithm. And with all that being said, thanks so much for watching today's video.